doing today?
Very good, thank you.
So, Ian, so today we're going to be talking about your film Dead Giveaway that's going to be presented on the Philadelphia Film Festival
Mhm.
on this upcoming Friday. So, how do you feel that your film is going to be presented in Philly in this film festival? And how excited are you to bring for what I see? I don't know. You can answer this question as well. For what I saw in your credits, this was a short. You made a short first, and now this is the full feature film.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. I'm so pumped to be premiering it in Philadelphia because I'm from here and we shot it here. Um, and of course, there's a lot of places where we could have premiered it, but it was nice to pick the at-home fest so that all of our crew can be there, and it's wonderful for the cast to come in. And I mean, Philly's such a movie town. People love it. People really care deeply about the arts over here. So it's gonna be a pretty fun night. I'm really excited for it. Um, and yeah, it was a short film that we did like 10 years ago, and it just grew and developed and worked itself out. So going from that little idea that I had so long ago to now gonna screen it at the biggest theater downtown is it's pretty surreal, but I'm looking forward to it.
What inspired you? Now that you're saying that this your short film was created 10 years ago, what inspired you to like make it a full length film?
I think I just wasn't done uh, thinking about these two characters because the short film and the feature both take place in the certain time period, in the same time period. You know what I mean? It's still just the morning, and so uh, getting to kind of pack in more hurdles for these girls to jump over, and getting to just like see and learn about their characters more, get a little bit more banter out of the two of them. It was just I don't know. It felt like the natural progression. When I made the short, I had no intention of making it a feature, but then after it was done, it was like, I mean, I would love to watch these girls for another hour and see how that shakes out. So, yeah, I could not make it into a feature.
And I gotta say, what were certain challenges that you went through while filming? Because I do see that even though it's basically for what you see, there are a lot of locations, but there is like the main location is like a house, a
Yeah.
two-story house. So were there any difficulties, even though you were like in one specific location all the time? Were there any difficulties filming?
Yeah. I mean, not any, not as much as you'd think. I mean, like we shot it in 14 days, which is pretty quick. It's a pretty quick turnaround. And we only had like a week of prep in the house beforehand. So it was everything happened pretty fast. So we had to keep our days tight. But that being said, like the crew that I worked with was just out of this world. You know what I mean? Like a wonderful camera department, wonderful art department, wonderful sound, and everybody was just so on point and so on fire. Like we didn't do any overtime. You hear a lot of movies doing like 16 or 18-hour days. We never did that. We made all of our days. We got everything done we wanted to do. Uh, and on top of that, like everybody was in a good mood all the time. You know, we had pretty good food on set. Our catering was sick, so uh, we we really had a lot of fun. I mean, if I really had to nail down like a challenge that we had, it was certainly that we shot in July during a heat wave up here. So it was like over 100 degrees every day. And when you're in a house and you're shooting, you can't have the air conditioning on. So because the wind from the vents would pick up in the sound. So we were all very very warm in the house, but also well hydrated. So I mean, if that's if you're making a movie, if the worst thing about it is that everybody's sweating a little bit, that's really not bad at all.
Were there any films that inspired you to bring this story to fruition? Because I do gotta say that there the structure of that giveaway being the fact that it's somebody that basically blacked out their whole like 24 hours and going back and forth, especially with the type of story that you're trying to tell in this one. Were there any other like films that inspired you to like connect all of these connect this story to fruition for your feature film?
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton. You know, I'm sure you know, being a movie fan, I think for every movie fan, like it's just such a hodgepodge of hundreds of movies over a lifetime that, you kind of shove together. I think a lot of like Edgar Wright stuff, um, uh, you know, Pulp Fiction, the banter in Pulp Fiction, and like, Tarantino banter in general. Uh, I think honestly, like Clerks from Kevin Smith, just people that are, you turn a camera on and it's just people bantering back and forth. A lot of those 90s, early 90s indie movie guys that were coming out and doing their thing. Um, that sort of really pushed a lot of what I was doing in terms of a small space, like you said, one location, and having just really strong actors sit there and bounce lines back and forth off of one another and have a good rhythm and a good pace and good timing and keep the story moving and keep it interesting. So I think a lot, yeah. If I had to pin it down, I would say a lot of those early '90s indie crowd that was kind of coming into our lives.
I gotta say that is something that I always like mention, especially to my wife. I'm like, yeah, the movies from like the 80s and the 90s were like the peak of like Hollywood. Nowadays, something is like a rehash of something, or we're on, I don't know, from a franchise, probably movie number 10.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah,
it's hard
I
to get
completely
good
understand.
original ideas out there, but when people are doing it, there's we're very lucky that there are some really great filmmakers doing original stuff still. I just hope that, to your point, I hope the rest of the industry catches up and recognizes that there's a lot of fans out there that want to see original movies and don't want to see uh, the same thing over and over rehashed.
And I wanted to ask because one of my favorite character from this whole film has to be the main actress, the one that um forgets her whole day, her
Yeah,
24 hours.
yeah, yeah.
I loved her so much, and I gotta say, what was where did the inspiration come from? On There's are certain scenes like that. I don't give that much details, but there's certain specific scenes on the film that she goes back imagining um do imagining how to get rid of the body.
Sure. Yeah.
Where did that inspiration come from? Because I think that I really love the whole film, but for catching my eye that you have so many scenes that we go back to that. What inspired you to bring like that certain mindset on this character
Yeah.
back and forth?
That's awesome. I'm glad you like that. That's wonderful for me. Yeah, I mean, with with her, Ruby is wonderful. Ruby is an incredible actor and super fun to work with. Uh, and I think when it came to just developing her character, it was like, you know, making her different enough from her friend Leah, played by Michaela, who's also extraordinary. Um, Making her different enough in that, like, there are always, I think when it comes to friends and like I said, basing this off of my older siblings, like there's always that friend that suggests the insane thing, and then the rest of them that are like, no, 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 too far. Like that's ridiculous. And so I wanted to make sure that there was always going to be, the straight man that was like, that's a stupid idea, and the one that was, I think, to quote one of Jill's lines, just bouncing stuff off the wall or bouncing ideas around, regardless of how bad those ideas really are. So, you know,
I gotta say, Ian, like I just loved it because every time that you're like on your you're just enjoying the film, then you go back to the crazy idea. You're like, oh, okay, why are we going back again to this? Um, Now you mentioned that you finished filming in 14 days. I've
Yeah,
heard 16 days, I've heard 18 days. This is the first time in my interviewing career as a film critic that I've heard 14 days.
yeah.
How was that scheduling for you and the team? Like waking up in the morning and then going through the day and not go, and especially you mentioning that you guys didn't go to overtime. How was that?
I mean, again, when you're working with just such great people, I remember, we broke it down. Of course, to a point, there's only so many days you can afford, right? So if we could have had 25, we would have. That would have been great. But I think also keeping it tight, doing a lot in a day, it really presents wonderful challenges that I find also presents wonderful solutions. So, having a limited amount of time means that we have to cut down the amount of camera setups that we have, which is cool because then we just are picking the best ones. We're not just getting coverage. It also means that the energy stays up. People were busy all the time. Like there was never a lull or a dull moment when everybody's just kind of sitting around. Everybody was working constantly and moving constantly. And with the actors, it kept their energy up a lot, and kept them moving, and kept them excited. Um, so yeah, 14 days is tight for sure. But we had I and that to put the onus less on creative and more on uh, the organizational side of it. Like my first and second ADs were out of this world incredible. The UPM was incredible, and like we would sit down at the end of every day shooting and be like, "What are we doing tomorrow?" And just sort of like we had a big overall schedule, but then it's like, all right, we have to sort of nail this down and make it really tight for tomorrow. And like, how do we get this amount of stuff done in this time period? And every day we pulled it off. So it's absolutely a massive team effort. But again, I think providing limitations like that really leads to having a much more interesting product.
Okay, thank you. And Ian, this will be my final question for you today. If you could describe with one word, that giveaway, what would it be?
Oh, that's a great question. I'm gonna go with zany. How about zany?
I agree. I agree. Yes, yes,
Cool.
I completely agree. Ian, thank you so much for giving us the time to talk about that giveaway. I hope everybody enjoys it this upcoming Friday in the festival. And
Yeah.
I hope to see you once again here, like that we can talk maybe about another future endeavor or might maybe see these characters once again. Thank
Oh,
you very
absolutely, man. Yeah. Thanks so much, John. I'll talk to you soon.
much. Bye bye.